Hello, English learners, and welcome back to another episode.
We're diving into the future of getting around today.
Public transport.
Right, exactly. Public transport. And it's all based on, what we were looking at with English with Rose. So like
Yeah.
buses, trains, all that stuff that we use every day, how it might change. I mean, we all know the struggles right now, like waiting forever for the bus or being packed in like sardines on the train.
Oh, definitely. And it seems like those everyday frustrations are actually driving a lot of the innovation that we're seeing.
Makes sense. I guess when something's not working, people try to find something better.
Exactly. And that's where things get really interesting.
So where do we even begin? Like, what's the first big change coming our way?
Well, one of the biggest things we saw was the technology side of things, you know?
Oh, yeah, like all the self-driving stuff we hear about.
Exactly. Self-driving buses are a huge area of development right now.
Hmm.
I mean, imagine buses that can just navigate traffic on their own.
That sounds so futuristic, though. Is it really possible?
Well, it's more than just possible. The technology is already being developed and tested. I think the potential is there for some seriously optimized routes, you know?
Okay, so instead of like set bus schedules that might not always work.
Right. It would be all based on real-time demand and traffic conditions, so those
Oh.
buses could adapt and adjust, using sensors and all that.
So no more waiting around for ages, wondering when or if the bus is going to show up.
And it could also mean better coverage for areas that maybe don't have great public transport options now.
Now that would be a game changer for a lot of people.
Absolutely. And then for those longer distances, we have the whole high-speed train thing.
Oh, yeah, high-speed trains. This has been around for a while, though, right? What's so different now?
It's about pushing the limits even further.
Hmm.
We're talking about cutting travel time between cities down dramatically.
So, like, imagine getting from, say, New York to Chicago in just a couple of hours.
Exactly. And think about the impact that could have on everything, work, life, leisure travel.
Yeah, suddenly living in one city and working in another wouldn't seem so crazy.
Exactly. It could really change the way we think about distance and connect different regions in new ways.
Okay, so we have self-driving buses and super fast trains, but then there's that whole other thing, the Hyperloop.
Ah, yes, the Hyperloop trains traveling in vacuum tunnels at almost supersonic speeds.
It sounds straight out of a sci-fi movie.
Right, it does. And honestly, it's still pretty far out there in terms of feasibility.
Like, how do you even build those tunnels and make sure they're safe?
Those are some of the big challenges, keeping it mostly theoretical for now.
Mhm.
I mean, maintaining a near-perfect vacuum and propelling those pods at such hop speeds is no easy feat.
But still, the idea of zipping between cities in minutes is pretty mind-blowing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's definitely a concept that captures the imagination. And, who knows, maybe someday it'll be more than just an idea.
So it seems like a lot of this is about speed and convenience, but what about the environmental impact of all this new tech?
That's a really important point. And the good news is that a huge focus right now is on making public transport greener.
I mean, we already see electric buses and things like solar-powered trains popping up.
Exactly. And that's just the beginning. The ultimate goal is to move away from gasoline and diesel completely for public transport.
So imagine a city with buses and trains that don't produce any exhaust fumes.
Cleaner air, healthier cities. It's a win-win for everyone.
And all this ties into the whole smart cities thing, right?
So definitely, smart cities are all about using technology to make everything work better. And that includes transportation.
So what does that look like in real life?
Well, think about using your smartphone for everything, checking bus schedules, booking tickets, even requesting on-demand pickups.
So like instead of walking to a bus stop, you could just have the bus come to you.
Exactly. And all of this would be seamlessly integrated into one system with real-time updates and payments all done through your phone.
That sounds amazing. But realistically, how do we make all of this happen?
Well, that brings up the big question of cost. Building these new systems and implementing all this technology is going to require significant investment.
And that's always a tough hurdle to overcome.
Absolutely. Governments and private companies need to be on board and willing to make that initial investment.
But it's not just about the money, right? There's also the human factor to consider.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We talked about self-driving buses, but are people actually going to feel comfortable riding in a vehicle with no driver?
That's a big leap of faith for some people, I think.
Exactly. It all comes down to trust. And that's where rigorous testing and clear communication about safety measures are going to be crucial.
So thinking about all this, it really makes you wonder about the future, doesn't it? Like, would you actually hop on a self-driving bus or ride in a Hyperloop?
It's fascinating to consider how all these potential changes could impact our daily lives.
Mhm.
Maybe someday our commutes will be faster, greener, and more efficient than we ever imagined.
It's definitely a lot to think about, and who knows what other amazing innovations are just around the corner.
Absolutely. The future of public transport is full of possibilities.
Thank you for tuning in to English with Rose. Until next time, take care and goodbye.